They say soft hearts get broken, but not the silent empath. For a Sigma empath, quiet isn't weakness, it's awareness. While manipulative people count on chaos, the silent empath counts on clarity. They absorb energy, read motives, and respond with intent. They don't join the drama. They watch it, learn from it, and position themselves beyond it. And that's how they outsmart manipulators without ever lifting a finger. Manipulators thrive on confusion, reaction, and control. They push buttons, spin stories, and demand attention. But the silent empath offers none of that. Their silence feels like a wall the manipulator can't climb. It's not that the empath doesn't care, they just decide who they care about. Their empathy isn't for everyone, it's for the genuine. And when someone tries to exploit their kindness, the silent empath quietly shifts. No confrontation, no drama, just freedom. This video will break down why Sigma empaths hold the power, how their silence deters manipulation, how their intuition reads hidden motives, and how their emotional intelligence becomes their strongest defense. Before we dive deeper, make sure to subscribe to Brainy Empath, the space for deep souls, resilient hearts, and intuitive minds who've learned to protect their energy without losing their compassion. And tell me in the comments, have you ever unknowingly outsmarted a manipulator just by staying calm and quiet? Their silence makes manipulators reveal themselves without realizing it. Manipulators thrive on reactions. They need energy, attention, and emotional feedback to maintain control. But when a Sigma empath goes silent, the game collapses. The manipulator pushes, prods, and tests, expecting a response, but the empath doesn't give one. That calm, unreadable stillness feels impossible to penetrate. The silence becomes a mirror, reflecting the manipulator's behavior back at them until they expose their own intention. Without realizing it, they start talking too much, explaining and showing the very tactics they were trying to hide. This is where the Sigma empath's power begins, in observation, not reaction. While others might take the bait, to defend themselves, or argue back, the empath simply listens. They absorb every tone shift, every micro-expression, every inconsistency. Their quiet energy makes the manipulator uncomfortable because it denies them control. The manipulator needs emotional fuel, and the empath starves them of it, gently, effortlessly. The silence becomes psychological pressure. What makes this advantage so effective is that the empath isn't playing a game. Their stillness isn't a strategy, it's their nature. They don't need to manipulate. They just understand energy at a level others don't. They can feel when someone's words and intentions don't align, so they step back, say little, and let the truth unravel itself. Within minutes, the manipulator starts exposing cracks, subtle slips in speech, defensive justifications, or unnecessary drama, all born from their discomfort with silence. Sigma empaths never need to confront directly. Their quiet awareness does the work for them. They know that the loudest people often reveal the most, and the ones who talk too much often hide the least. So they wait calmly and patiently until every false motive has been revealed. By the end, the manipulator is exhausted, confused by the empath's lack of reaction, frustrated by their calm, and unaware that they've already exposed everything. That's the silent empath's true advantage. They never fight for power, they simply hold it, while everyone else gives theirs away through noise. They read emotional motives faster than words can hide them. Sigma empath doesn't listen to what people say, they listen to what they feel. Long before someone finishes a sentence, the empath has already read the emotion behind it. They sense intention like a vibration, a quiet hum beneath every word. You can smile, compliment, even act sincere, but if the energy doesn't match, they'll know instantly. That's what makes them impossible to deceive. Words can lie, but energy never does. And Sigma empaths speak the language of energy fluently. This isn't something they try to do, it's instinct. From a lifetime of reading rooms, sensing moods, and navigating emotional storms, they've developed an almost supernatural sensitivity. They notice when your tone rises just slightly, when your laughter feels forced, when your "I'm fine" carries a shadow. Most people take words at face value. Sigma empaths take them as data. They interpret every emotional undertone, every pause, every hidden tension. That's why manipulators struggle with them. Before the manipulator can finish building their web, the empath has already seen the pattern. What others mistake for shyness or quietness is actually deep processing. While you talk, they analyze, not with judgment, but with awareness. They're asking themselves silently, what is this person really feeling? What's driving this behavior? What's the intention behind this kindness? And in that awareness, they gain clarity no one else has. They don't confront immediately. They let the truth reveal itself through repetition, because people can fake words, but not emotional consistency. This ability gives Sigma Empaths a psychological advantage that's hard to explain. They can disarm manipulation without effort, not by fighting it, but by understanding it. Once they sense a motive, they adapt their energy accordingly. Colder, calmer, quieter. They create distance without needing to justify it. And that subtle shift, that silent boundary, is often enough to expose who's real and who's not. You can't hide behind words with a Sigma Empath. They read the silence between your sentences, the truth behind your tone, the motive behind your smile. They see emotion like color, vibrant, undeniable, impossible to fake. And that's why they outsmart manipulators without even trying, because they already know the truth before anyone else can speak it. Their empathy isn't naive, it's selective and intentional. There was a time when the Sigma Empath gave freely to everyone without limits. They thought empathy meant saying yes, helping endlessly, and absorbing every emotion around them. But life and betrayal taught them the hardest truth. Not everyone deserves their understanding. So now their empathy isn't automatic, it's earned. They no longer pour from an empty cup. They choose where their energy goes, and that choice makes their compassion stronger, not weaker. A Sigma Empath's kindness is no longer open access. It's a privilege. They've learned that giving empathy to manipulators only fuels the manipulation. They no longer heal people who enjoy their pain or comfort those who thrive in chaos. Instead, they study intentions. Before offering help, they listen, not to words, but to energy. If something feels off, they step back, not out of bitterness, but out of wisdom. They know the cost of carrying too much in the wrong direction. Their empathy is surgical now, precise, controlled, and purposeful. They can feel your emotions deeply but won't drown in them. They can comfort without becoming consumed. They know when to hold space and when to walk away. It's not detachment, it's discernment. They've learned that real empathy protects peace first, then people. And anyone who tries to take advantage of their compassion quickly realizes that the Sigma Empath doesn't operate from guilt anymore. They operate from clarity. What makes this so powerful is that manipulators can't use their empathy as a weapon anymore. They can't guilt trip them into giving, can't twist emotions to gain control, can't exploit their softness, because the Sigma Empath now understands balance. They can care and say no. They can love and leave. They can forgive without returning. Their empathy is not weakness, it's intelligence wrapped in compassion. It's the quiet understanding that not everyone's pain is their responsibility to fix. And that realization makes them untouchable, because when a Sigma Empath becomes intentional with their kindness, they stop being prey and start becoming the most emotionally powerful person in the room. They respond with calm, not chaos, which disarms manipulation instantly. Manipulators crave emotional reactions. Anger, guilt, confusion, fear. That's their playground. They twist words, provoke emotions, and thrive in the noise of conflict. But when a Sigma Empath stops reacting and starts responding with silence and calm, the manipulator loses their power instantly. You can't control someone who doesn't feed the fire. The moment the empath refuses to match the chaos, the manipulator's entire strategy collapses. A Sigma Empath doesn't match energy, they redirect it. When someone throws emotional bait, they don't bite, they breathe. They stay still, grounded, and composed while the other person spirals. That calmness isn't indifference, it's control. They understand that reacting emotionally gives the manipulator data, how to push harder, where to aim next. So instead, the empath becomes unreadable. No raised voice, no over-explaining, no guilt, just stillness. And that stillness unnerves the manipulator more than any argument ever could. What makes this calm so powerful is that it's not forced, it's evolved. The Sigma Empath has already been through emotional chaos. They've seen how quickly empathy can turn into exhaustion when given to the wrong people. So now, instead of defending themselves, they observe. They let the manipulator talk themselves into exposure. Every exaggeration, every guilt trip, every lie becomes more obvious against the empath's steady silence. That calm response flips the balance of power. Suddenly, the manipulator feels small, desperate, and exposed. They can't get the emotional reaction they need to maintain control, and that realization triggers their frustration. They start over-explaining, projecting, and unraveling, all while the Sigma Empath remains composed, detached, and quietly aware. The manipulator's chaos burns itself out against the empath's peace. And when the conversation ends, the empath doesn't leave shaken, they leave centered. Their calm isn't just a reaction, it's a boundary. It says, you don't get access to my emotions anymore. And that single shift from reacting to observing is what makes them untouchable. Because when a Sigma empath stays calm in the face of manipulation, they don't just win the moment, they expose the entire game. They mirror the manipulator's energy to expose their own tactics. A Sigma empath's greatest strength isn't confrontation, it's reflection. They've learned that sometimes the best way to reveal manipulation is to hold up a mirror. When a manipulator tries to twist truth, the empath doesn't fight back with anger or defense. They subtly reflect the same tone, the same emotional rhythm, and the same logic right back. And in doing so, they make the manipulator face their own behavior. It's psychological judo, using the opponent's force against them without ever breaking composure. This mirroring doesn't come from malice, it comes from awareness. The Sigma Empath understands people on an energetic level. They can read emotional frequencies so clearly that they can replicate them. If someone uses flattery to manipulate, the empath mirrors that charm, just enough to expose the intention behind it. If guilt is the weapon, the empath mirrors that emotion calmly, showing how absurd it looks when reflected. It's not revenge, it's truth shown in real time. The manipulator, used to controlling others, becomes uncomfortable when their tactics stop working. They sense something's off, as if they're arguing with themselves. The empath's reflection forces them to experience their own energy from the outside, and it destabilizes their control. It's subtle, but it's devastating, because for the first time, the manipulator feels the discomfort they've always caused others. This is the silent empath's art, emotional aikido. They don't shout, accuse, or expose. They let the manipulator expose themselves. Every mirrored tone, every repeated phrase, every calm pause magnifies the manipulator's own tactics until the truth becomes undeniable. The more the manipulator pushes, the more they reveal, and the Sigma Empath just watches, steady, still, and quietly powerful. Eventually, the manipulator either backs down or self-destructs. They can't fight what feels like their own reflection. That's the moment the empath wins, not through argument, but through awareness. To everyone else, it looks effortless, but to the Sigma Empath, it's simply instinct, the ability to see, feel, and reflect truth so clearly that deception can't survive in their presence. Because when you face a mirror that sees through energy, your mask can't last long. Their boundaries are invisible but unbreakable. Sigma Empaths don't draw boundaries with words, they draw them with energy. You won't hear them announce limits, argue for respect, or threaten distance. They simply shift. One moment you have access to their warmth, their attention, their empathy, and the next it's gone. Not in anger, but in quiet certainty. Their boundaries are invisible to the eye, but impossible to cross. The manipulator doesn't realize it's happened until it's too late, until the connection feels colder, quieter, unreachable. This kind of boundary is what makes Sigma Empaths so powerful. They no longer explain why they're pulling back, they simply stop showing up for chaos. They've learned that verbal boundaries invite arguments, but energetic ones end them before they begin. When someone oversteps, the empath doesn't engage, they disengage. No drama, no emotional explosion, just silence. That absence speaks louder than confrontation ever could. Their limits come from deep self-awareness. They know their sensitivity is both a gift and a responsibility. They've been drained before, giving too much, forgiving too easily, absorbing pain that wasn't theirs to carry. But now they protect their peace like sacred ground. If your energy feels manipulative, self-centered, or heavy, they'll retreat not to punish you, but to protect themselves. Their withdrawal isn't coldness, it's clarity. They've simply outgrown the need to explain why someone no longer deserves full access. What makes these boundaries unbreakable is how subtle they are. You can't argue with silence. You can't guilt trip someone who no longer reacts. You can't manipulate someone whose energy no longer entertains yours. The manipulator feels the distance, senses the disconnection, but can't pinpoint where it started, and that's the genius of the Sigma Empath. They end toxic cycles without confrontation. They remove power without resistance. By the time anyone notices, the empath's peace is already restored, their energy reset, their focus redirected. They don't announce the goodbye, they become it. Because true boundaries don't need walls or warnings, they need awareness. And when a Sigma empath draws that invisible line, it's permanent. No manipulation, no apology, no guilt can break it. Ever again. They withdraw quietly, leaving the manipulator powerless and confused. A Sigma empath doesn't end things with explosions. They end them with silence. When they see through manipulation, they don't argue, warn, or explain. They simply vanish. One day, the manipulator still feels in control, believing their tactics are working. The next, the empath's energy is gone, calm, detached, unreachable. That quiet withdrawal is their final move, and it's devastating because it offers no closure, no confrontation, and no chance to regain control. The manipulators feed on reaction. They need resistance to sustain their illusion of power. But the Sigma empath's silence cuts off that supply completely. There's no fight to win, no emotion to twist, no access to exploit. The manipulator tries harder, calling, guilt-tripping, playing the victim, but the empath doesn't respond. That stillness becomes unbearable. It forces the manipulator to face their own emptiness because their control only existed in the empath's engagement, and now that engagement is gone forever. What makes this withdrawal so powerful is how peaceful it is. The Sigma empath doesn't leave out of hate, they leave out of self-respect. They've already analyzed the dynamic, understood the manipulation, and emotionally detached long before they physically step away. When they go silent, it's not spontaneous, it's final. They know that explanation only feeds the manipulator's need for attention, so they choose disappearance instead. It's not revenge, it's closure on their terms. For the manipulator, the quiet exit feels like losing control over a puppet that suddenly cut its strings. They're left confused, replaying conversations, searching for reasons, trying to understand how someone they thought they controlled slipped through their fingers so effortlessly. That's the beauty of the empath's silence. It's a lesson delivered without a word. The Sigma empath doesn't withdraw to punish, they withdraw to heal. They reclaim their peace, rebuild their boundaries, and rise in silence. And by the time the manipulator realizes what happened, the empath is already gone, not hiding, but thriving. Because nothing dismantles manipulation faster than quiet, confident detachment. In the end, the empath wins not by fighting back, but by walking away with their peace intact and their power restored. Their emotional awareness turns pain into wisdom, and that's their ultimate advantage. For the Sigma empath, pain isn't just something to survive, it's something to study. Every betrayal, every manipulation, every heartbreak becomes data. They don't just feel deeply, they learn deeply. Where others drown in emotion, the Sigma empath dives through it, searching for meaning. They ask, why did this happen? What was I meant to see? That reflection turns wounds into wisdom. The pain that once broke them now becomes armor, quiet, invisible, and indestructible. Unlike most, they don't let trauma harden them. They let it sharpen them. They know that pain reveals truth about others and about themselves. Each time they're hurt, they become more emotionally fluent, more intuitive, more discerning. They begin to see patterns long before they repeat, recognize manipulation before it forms, and sense dishonesty before it's spoken. Their emotional awareness becomes a sixth sense, not born from innocence, but from survival. That's why manipulators can't defeat them twice. Once a Sigma empath learns a lesson, it's permanent. They remember every subtle warning sign, every gut feeling they ignored, every moment of misplaced compassion. But instead of growing bitter, they grow strategic. They transform sensitivity into foresight, using empathy as guidance, not vulnerability. The same heart that once got broken now becomes their greatest weapon because it understands people at a level most can't comprehend. Their pain becomes perspective, the ability to love without losing themselves, to forgive without forgetting, and to walk away without fear. While others suppress their emotions, the Sigma empath integrates them, using every experience to refine their awareness. And that's why they're so dangerous to manipulators, because every attempt to hurt them only makes them wiser, calmer, and harder to deceive. In the end, the Sigma empath's power doesn't come from avoiding pain, but from transforming it. They turn emotion into intelligence, empathy into instinct, and heartbreak into clarity. What was once their weakness becomes their weapon, a quiet, steady awareness that no manipulation can penetrate. That's the silent empath advantage. They don't just survive what broke them, they use it to see everything more clearly than ever before. Sigma empaths don't win by fighting, they win by understanding. They don't expose manipulators with rage or revenge, they do it with awareness, silence, and self-control. Every experience that tried to break them only built their intuition stronger. That's what makes them powerful, not their kindness alone, but their ability to stay calm, see through deception, and walk away without losing their peace. Their silence reveals truth, their empathy disarms manipulation, and their growth, that quiet transformation from pain to wisdom, is what makes them unstoppable. Because once a Sigma empath learns that emotional control is the highest form of power, there's no going back. If you've ever felt everything too deeply but learned to use that awareness as strength, you already understand the silent empath advantage. Before you go, make sure to subscribe to Brainy Empath, where deep feelers, old souls, and emotionally intelligent minds come to grow stronger, not colder. And if this message resonated with you, tap the word unaffected in the comments to show you've turned your pain into power.